Assassination of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. On a crisp December morning in 2024, Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, stepped onto a bustling Manhattan sidewalk, heading to an investor conference that would showcase his company's success. But at 6:45 a.m., a masked gunman emerged from the shadows, firing a silenced pistol in a cold, calculated act that ended Thompson's life and ignited a firestorm across America. The killer, Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old Ivy League graduate, wasn't just a murderer. He became a symbol of rage against a healthcare system many feel has failed them. This is the Assassination of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, a story of privilege, pain, and a nation divided. Join me as we unravel a murder that shook the world and the man at its center. Brian Thompson was a man at the top of his game. At 50, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, a subsidiary of UnitedHealth Group, one of the largest health insurance companies in the world, had built a career on navigating the complex, often controversial world of American healthcare. Based in Minnesota, Thompson was known as a sharp, driven executive, a leader who'd risen through the ranks to helm a company that reported $100 billion in revenue in 2023 alone, according to United Health Group annual report. To his colleagues, he was a visionary. To his family, a devoted husband and father who cherished quiet weekends at their lake house, teaching his kids to fish, his laughter echoing across the water. He was taken way too soon, his wife Paulette told ABC News, her voice breaking with grief as she spoke of the man who'd been her rock for 27 years. On December 4th, 2024, Thompson was in New York City for UnitedHealthcare's annual investor conference at the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, a high-stakes event where he'd address shareholders, analysts, and investors, showcasing the company's growth in a year marked by rising healthcare costs and public scrutiny of insurance practices. He'd arrived the night before, staying at a nearby hotel on West 54th Street, a stone's throw from the conference venue. That morning, he rose early, the city already buzzing outside his window as he dressed in a crisp suit, his tie a deep blue that matched the winter sky. At 6:40 a.m., he stepped onto the sidewalk, his breath visible in the chilly air, his briefcase swinging at his side as he walked toward the Hilton, just a block away. The streets of Midtown were alive with the usual chaos. Taxis honking, commuters rushing to work, tourists snapping photos of the glittering holiday decorations that lined 6th Avenue. Thompson, a seasoned executive used to the pace of New York, moved with purpose, his mind likely on the speech he'd prepared, the numbers he'd present to prove UnitedHealthcare's dominance in a cutthroat industry. But as he passed between two parked cars on West 54th Street, a figure emerged from the shadows, a man in a black hoodie, his face obscured by a medical mask, his movements deliberate. He'd been waiting, watching, for nearly an hour, according to the federal complaint, unsealed later that month. At 6:45 a.m., the man raised a 9mm pistol equipped with a homemade silencer and fired. The muffled shots rang out, and Thompson crumpled to the ground, his blood pooling on the cold pavement as the city's noise swallowed the sound of his final breath. The assassination of Brian Thompson sent shockwaves through Manhattan and the nation. Bystanders froze as the gunman fled north on a bicycle, weaving through Central Park before disappearing into the city's labyrinth of streets, according to the federal complaint. Within minutes, NYPD officers swarmed the scene, their radios crackling with urgency as they cordoned off West 54th Street, the flashing lights of their cruisers casting an eerie glow on the holiday decorations. Thompson lay lifeless on the sidewalk, his suit stained with blood, his briefcase still clutched in his hand. a stark symbol of a life cut short. It was like something out of a movie, a tourist told CBS News, her voice trembling as she described the chaos, the screams that pierced the morning air as people realized what had happened. The brutality of the attack stunned even seasoned investigators. Thompson had been shot multiple times at close range, the 9mm rounds tearing through his chest and abdomen, the silencer muffling the shots to avoid drawing immediate attention, per the NYPD's report. Shell casings found at the scene bore chilling inscriptions: delay, deny, depose, a phrase often used to describe insurance tactics for rejecting claims, as noted by the BBC. To the NYPD, this wasn't a random act of violence. It was a targeted execution, a message written in blood on a Manhattan sidewalk. This was a frightening, well-planned, targeted murder, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg told reporters in December, his voice heavy with the weight of the case, per CNN. News of Thompson's murder spread like wildfire, dominating headlines and sparking a firestorm of debate online. UnitedHealthcare, a company already under scrutiny for its role in America's healthcare system, became a lightning rod for public anger. Social media platforms buzzed with outrage. Some mourned Thompson, a man they saw as a victim of senseless violence, while others celebrated his death, calling him a symbol of corporate greed. The insurance industry kills people every day with denials. Maybe this is justice, one ex-user posted, their words echoing a sentiment shared by thousands. Thompson's murder exposed a deep, festering resentment toward a system many Americans feel has failed them, a divide that would only grow as the killer's identity came to light. By nightfall, the NYPD had released surveillance images of the suspect, a slim man in a hoodie, his face partially visible, a ghost in the city's chaos. A 5-day manhunt had begun, and the nation watched, divided between horror and a dark, unsettling fascination. The NYPD moved fast, their investigation a high-stakes race against a killer who'd vanished into thin air. Surveillance footage from West 54th Street showed the gunman fleeing north through Central Park, his bicycle cutting through the morning mist as he headed back to the Upper West Side, where he'd checked into a hostel using a fake ID, per the federal complaint. Detectives scoured the city, their boots pounding the pavement as they collected evidence. A water bottle and a kind bar wrapper near a Starbucks, both bearing fingerprints that would later prove crucial, according to CBS News. A cell phone found near the scene also held prints, a silent witness to the crime that had shaken New York to its core. "We have DNA," NYPD Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenney told reporters, his voice steady but urgent as the manhunt intensified, per CBS News. The breakthrough came on December 9th, 5 days after the murder, in Altoona, Pennsylvania, a small town 230 miles from Manhattan. A McDonald's employee, glancing at a customer sitting alone with a laptop, recognized his face from the NYPD's widely circulated surveillance photos. "That's him," she whispered to a coworker, her hands trembling as she dialed 911 per ABC News. Altoona police arrived within minutes, confronting the man, Luigi Mangione, 26, a former Ivy League graduate from a prominent Maryland family. He was wearing a medical mask, his eyes darting nervously as officers asked him to pull it down. He started to shake, Officer Tyler Fry later told reporters, describing the moment they confirmed his identity, per ABC News. In his backpack, they found a 9mm ghost gun with a 3D printed silencer, matching the weapon used in the murder, along with fake IDs, $8,000 in cash, and a notebook filled with handwritten pages that would later reveal his motives. Mangione's arrest marked the end of a nationwide manhunt, but the beginning of a new chapter in a case that captivated America. As he was led into the Blair County Courthouse in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, on December 10th, he shouted at reporters, his voice raw with defiance. "It's completely out of touch, and an insult to the intelligence of the American people," he yelled, per ABC News, though what he meant remained unclear. The NYPD, working with the FBI, had their man, but the evidence they'd uncovered painted a picture far more complex than a simple act of violence. Mangione's notebook, seized during his arrest, contained entries dating back to mid-2024, detailing his growing fixation on UnitedHealthcare and his plan to whack its CEO at the annual Parasitic Bean Counter Convention, per law enforcement sources cited by ABC News. As Mangione was extradited to New York on December 19th, the nation watched, grappling with a question that would define the case. Was he a murderer or a martyr? Luigi Mangione seemed to have it all, a life of privilege, promise, and potential. Born into a prominent Maryland family, the 26-year-old was the grandson of Nicholas and Mary Mangione, real estate developers who owned Turf Valley and Hayfields country clubs, and founded Lorien Health Systems, a nursing home company, per the BBC. The Mangiones were a dynasty, their names synonymous with wealth and influence in Baltimore, their legacy stretching from country clubs to a conservative radio station, WCBM. Luigi grew up in Towson, Maryland, attending the prestigious Gilman School, where he graduated as valedictorian in 2016 and captained the robotics team, earning a scholarship prize in 2014, according to CBS News. He was a star, a former classmate told the New York Times, describing a driven, brilliant young man who seemed destined for greatness. Mangione went on to the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school, where he earned both a bachelor's and master's degree in computer science by 2020, per CBS News. There, he founded Upgrade, the university's first video game development club, his passion for tech and gaming, a defining part of his identity, according to a now-deleted Penn Today interview cited by the New York Times. After graduating, he worked as a data engineer at TrueCar, a car-buying website, until 2023, per CBS News, and spent a summer as a head counselor at Stanford University's pre-college program in 2019, per The Washington Post. Friends described him as super normal and smart, a tech enthusiast who loved clean eating, self-improvement, and surfing, spending early 2022 at Surf Break HNL, a co-living community in Hawaii, per The Washington Post. But beneath the polished exterior, cracks were forming. In 2023, Mangione suffered a severe back injury while surfing in Hawaii, an injury that required emergency surgery and the insertion of 4 screws into his spine, as evidenced by x-rays he posted on social media, per CBS News. The pain was debilitating, forcing him to leave Surf Break and return to the mainland, his once active life now marked by physical and psychological struggle, per friends cited by the BBC. As he withdrew from friends and family, his mother reported him missing in November 2024 after not hearing from him since July, per ABC News. His writings revealed a growing darkness. Entries in his notebook, seized after his arrest, showed a fixation on UnitedHealthcare, a company he called parasitic, and a plan to target its CEO as a symbolic takedown of corporate greed, per an NYPD intelligence report cited by CNN. By August 2024, he wrote, "The target is insurance. It checks every box." his pain and isolation fueling a dark obsession that would lead him to murder. Luigi Mangione didn't act on impulse. His attack on Brian Thompson was the culmination of months of meticulous planning, a plot as cold as the December morning he carried it out. According to the federal complaint unsealed on December 19th, Mangione began his preparations in mid-2024. His notebook entries revealing a calculated descent into violence. On August 15th, he wrote, "The details are finally coming together," noting that targeting UnitedHealthcare's investor conference would make his message self-evident, per ABC News. He traveled from Georgia to New York on November 24th, more than a week before the murder, checking into an Upper West Side hostel under a false ID. His movements deliberate as he performed reconnaissance around the Hilton Hotel and Thompson's Hotel, per the Justice Department. Mangione's plan was chilling in its precision. He knew Thompson would be in Midtown for the conference, a high-profile event that drew investors and media attention, the perfect stage for his act of violence. He scouted the area for days, mapping out escape routes and vantage points. His bicycle, a silent tool for navigating the city's chaos, per the federal complaint. On December 4th, he woke early, traveling from the Upper West Side to West 54th Street, where he positioned himself between two cars, waiting for Thompson to pass by. At 6:45 a.m., he struck, firing several rounds from a 9mm ghost gun with a 3D printed silencer, a weapon he'd crafted to avoid detection, per CBS News. The shell casings, inscribed with delay, deny, and depose, were a deliberate message, a critique of the insurance industry's tactics, per the BBC. After the shooting, he fled through Central Park, his bicycle carrying him back to the Upper West Side, where he blended into the city's anonymity. Mangione's actions were more than a murder. They were a statement, one he'd planned to resonate far beyond the streets of Manhattan. In a letter addressed to the feds found in his notebook, he wrote, "I wasn't working with anyone," and claimed his actions were self-funded, per the federal complaint cited by NBC News. He saw himself as a lone crusader, a man taking on a system he believed had wronged countless Americans, his personal pain a catalyst for a broader reckoning. "This investor conference is a true windfall," he wrote, per ABC News, believing the killing would spark a national debate about healthcare. And it did, but not in the way he might have hoped. As news of his arrest spread, the nation's conscience was tested, torn between condemning a killer and confronting the systemic failures he sought to expose. Luigi Mangione's journey through the legal system began with a whirlwind of charges and court appearances, a dual prosecution that reflected the complexity of his crime. On December 17th, a Manhattan grand jury indicted him on 11 state counts, including first-degree murder and furtherance of terrorism, 2 counts of second-degree murder, 1 also charged as terrorism, plus weapons and forgery charges, per ABC News. The terrorism charge, rare in New York, alleged that Mangione intended to intimidate or coerce the public and government, per CNN, a claim rooted in the public nature of the killing and the message on the shell casings. On December 19th, federal charges followed: murder through use of a firearm, 2 stalking counts, and a firearms offense, carrying the possibility of the death penalty, per the Justice Department. This wasn't a debate, it was murder, Acting U.S. Attorney Edward Y. Kim said, his voice firm as he announced the charges, per the Justice Department. Mangione's court appearances became a spectacle, drawing supporters and protesters alike. On December 23rd, he pleaded not guilty to the state charges in Manhattan criminal court, his hands and feet shackled, a burgundy sweater over a white-collared shirt, a stark contrast to the orange jumpsuit he'd worn in Pennsylvania, per CBS News. "Not guilty," he said quietly into the microphone, his voice steady as he faced a courtroom packed with observers, per AP News. Outside, dozens of supporters held signs reading "Health over Wealth" and "Luigi freed us," their chants echoing through Lower Manhattan, per Al Jazeera. His attorney, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, a former Manhattan DA prosecutor, argued that statements from officials like Mayor Eric Adams, who'd been present during Mangione's extradition, threatened his right to a fair trial. "He's being treated like a human ping-pong ball by two warring jurisdictions," she told the court, per CNN, her voice sharp with frustration. By February 21st, 2025, Mangione's case had taken on new layers of complexity. At a status hearing in New York State Court, Agnifilo challenged the legality of the search during his arrest in Altoona, claiming his constitutional rights were violated when police seized his notebook and other belongings, per CNN. "There is a very serious search issue in this material," she told Judge Gregory Caro, who denied a request to remove Mangione's shackles, per CNN. Supporters, many wearing green to match Mangione's sweater, rallied outside, their presence a testament to the public fascination with the case, per the New York Times. Mangione, now held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, alongside high-profile inmates like Sean Diddy Combs, faced a potential life sentence without parole on the state charges, and the death penalty on the federal ones, per NBC News. His next federal hearing was set for March 19th. But as of March 28th, 2025, no further updates had emerged. The nation watched, waiting to see if justice would be served, or if Mangione's cause would overshadow his crime. Luigi Mangione's murder of Brian Thompson didn't just take a life, it tore open a wound in the American psyche, exposing the deep anger and pain many feel toward the healthcare system. In the weeks following the killing, Mangione became a macabre folk hero to some, a symbol of resistance against an industry accused of prioritizing profits over patients. Supporters flooded his commissary account at the Metropolitan Detention Center with 158 deposits and sent over 50 letters, per CNN, while the December 4th Legal Committee raised nearly $300,000 for his defense by February 9th, 2025, with over 10,000 donors contributing, per people. "The average American understands who the real culprits are," the committee wrote, framing Mangione as a victim of a broken system, per people. Rallies outside his hearings drew hundreds, some wearing red sweaters in homage to his court appearances, their signs decrying insurance industry greed, per the New York Times. But the support horrified others, including law enforcement and Thompson's family. "There is no heroism in what Mangione did. This was a senseless act of violence," NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch said at a December press conference, her voice sharp with indignation, per ABC News. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro echoed her sentiment, calling Mangione a coward, not a hero, per CBS News. Thompson's loved ones, grappling with their loss, were devastated by the celebration of his killer. "He was taken way too soon," Paulette Thompson told ABC News, her words a plea for the world to remember the man behind the title, the father who'd never see his children grow up. The divide was stark. Some saw Mangione as a vigilante, others as a terrorist, a split that reflected broader frustrations with a healthcare system where denials and costs have left countless Americans struggling. Mangione's own words, found in his notebook, fueled the debate. "The target is insurance. It checks every box," he wrote, per Al Jazeera, his writings revealing a belief that killing Thompson would spark a reckoning. But neither he nor his parents were insured by UnitedHealthcare, per United Health Group, raising questions about what drove his fixation. Some speculated it was his back injury and the pain that followed, a personal struggle that became a broader crusade, per ABC News. Others pointed to his isolation, his mother's missing person report in November 2024, a sign of how far he'd drifted, per ABC News. As the case unfolded, it became a mirror for the nation's anger, a stark reminder of the system's failures, and the dangerous ways that anger can manifest when left unchecked. Luigi Mangione's actions left a legacy that continues to ripple through America, a story that's as much about a broken system as it is about a broken man. As of March 28, 2025, Mangione remains at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, awaiting his next federal hearing, his state trial scheduled to proceed first, with a hearing set for February 21st, per NBC New York. The legal battle is far from over. His attorney's challenge to the search during his arrest could shape the case, and the possibility of the death penalty looms over the federal charges, a decision complicated by the incoming Trump administration's stance on capital punishment, per NBC New York. But beyond the courtroom, Mangione's impact is undeniable. His supporters continue to rally, their donations and letters a testament to the anger he tapped into, a movement that shows no sign of fading, per People. For Brian Thompson's family, the pain is a constant companion. Paulette and their children have retreated from the public eye, their grief a private battle as they navigate a world without him, per ABC News. UnitedHealthcare, meanwhile, has faced renewed scrutiny. The words delay, deny, depose, a haunting reminder of the criticisms that have long dogged the industry. People know how challenging it is navigating our healthcare system, Mayor Eric Adams said in December, acknowledging the public's frustration, per ABC News. But for many, the question remains, does Mangione's cause justify his crime? This alleged plot demonstrates a cavalier attitude towards humanity, FBI Assistant Director James E. Dennehy said, per Al Jazeera, a sentiment that underscores the moral divide at the heart of the case. In the end, Luigi Mangione's story is a tragedy of a man who fell from privilege to infamy, of a CEO whose life was cut short, and of a nation grappling with its own failures. The anger he unleashed still lingers, a shadow over the streets of Manhattan, a reminder of the cost of a system that leaves so many behind. What do you think? Can a broken system ever justify such a brutal act? Share your thoughts, and if this story stirred something in you, subscribe for more true crime tales that probe the depths of human rage and redemption. Until next time, stay safe and question the systems that shape our lives.